Welcome, pod lovers, to our latest instalment of Footballing Fun and Frolics with Ed001, Ed25, and me, Ed666. This week, we're going down memory lane and reminiscing about Merseyside derbies of yesteryear, and we'll also be discussing the latest transfer news and moves in the Premiership and beyond. So without further ado, let me introduce my regular podcast cohorts, the housewives' favourite, Ed25, and not even his mother's favourite, Ed001. Good day, gents. How are you?
That's true about me not being my mother's favourite, and I'm an only child.
I'm your mother's favourite. How you doing,
You're
Billy?
No one's favourite.
Yeah, really good.
Good man. How's the golf going?
Oh God, don't start on golf again. God, I have to listen to this for hours usually.
I'm playing like McElroy at the moment, absolutely hopeless.
Yeah.
But
Are you hitting the ball?
yeah, just about.
It's where you're hitting it, right?
Please cut off VPN. Please cut off.
Hey, listen. I was thinking we need some more diversity on these podcasts. We've got the elderly demographic covered with Billy. We've filled the overweight quota with you. And the BAMA covered with me, but it would be great to have a female voice representing. So if there's any ladies out there who are interested in doing a pod with us, contact us through the Liverpool Rumours website. We'll have 0 applicants, I guarantee you.
Yeah, no, nobody's going to want to join and work with us, let's be honest.
All right, guys, it would be remiss of us not to talk about Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
What is the guy doing? Allegedly fighting police in Mykonos and allegedly bribing them. What the hell is going on, Harry?
Well, what I don't understand, I understand that, but isn't that why all these why it's become the party island? Because you can bribe police to look the other way there. So what did he do? Offer him 50 cents or something, and he's gone, shut off, that's not enough. I mean, allegedly,
I heard he tried to tackle the policeman, but he was late and ended up punching him in the face.
Oh, that's a bad one. That's a bad one.
But what's he doing? I mean, come on, he's got all his mates to fight for him. Why does he need to fight? I mean, that's just dumb.
Yeah, footballers do get a lot of abuse, to be fair, but you just got to walk away from it, aren't you? You don't need it. You don't need to get involved.
No. Why would you? You're putting your career and your future at risk.
The thing is, he was before that. He was with other footballers and a couple of the other Man United players and that, and another. So he's obviously left a private gathering to go on a normal. And you're just thinking, it's sad to say, but you're just asking for trouble these days.
Do you know what? I read in the one of the papers, there was a paragraph. Maguire, who earns $190,000 a week, plans to cut short his holiday and return to the UK, according to a source at Manchester United. That's probably the most intelligent decision he's made all holiday.
Well, I didn't think he had a choice anyway, because I thought they were shutting it down.
No idea, mate. But
yeah, Mykonos was being shut down anyway. The holiday, they were shutting it all down because of a spike in coronavirus cases. So I don't think he's actually choosing to cut it short so much as they're booting everyone out.
It's just an absurd, bonkers situation. I mean, I wonder what Ole's got to think about all this.
I just wonder why they go to places like that. I mean, they've got all the money in the world. Why not go somewhere where you can be kept, where you get kept out of the public eye?
Tristan, most people have a life and they leave their apartment. Everybody.
No, I mean, why not go somewhere where, the first instance where it was earlier was a private party, with other footballers and that, where they're kept out of public eye is what I'm saying. You just don't go, when you're playing for a Man United or a Liverpool, it's just sad, it's pathetic, but they can't go out in the public, you know what I mean, and just go out in a place where there's loads of drink and drugs. You just can't do that.
I'm trying to be very careful these days, haven't we? Because that does happen, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have a life, but they've got to be very careful and not get themselves involved in anything like that.
But
mean,
what I mean is, he could go somewhere like where it's private rather than out. There's so many knobheads out there these days, supporting other opposing clubs. He's bound to take some stick, and it was at some point you're gonna react. Doesn't matter how calm and placid you are, you've only got so much before you snap.
well, also the fact that your mates are having a row, and you feel like you don't want to let them down. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you want to have a go as well. So it's you don't want to feel like you've let them down or you've been disloyal in any way. So if they're having a row, you get up and defend your friend's honour or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's hard, when there's trouble brewing, it's hard to even if you're trying to break it up. I've been there where you're trying to break up a fight and you've ended up you've been the one that's getting dragged away by the bouncers because they think you've started it when you've just got in between and separated them.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
So he might be totally innocent and just happened to have jumped in between and got arrested.
And I'm sure that he was baited in some way, shape, or form because he doesn't seem like the guy who's going to just have a row, just start a row. So anyway, everything's alleged anyway. So hopefully that'll get all cleared up soon.
Yeah.
All right.
God,
So
I feel sick saying that about a Man United player. This just seems wrong. Or shouldn't we be slagging him off and making jokes at his expense?
Not really, no, because that's humanitarian, is it, Tristan?
Oh, what?
So anyway, let's
human, let alone humanitarian.
All right, so let's move on. So we thought it'd be interesting to talk about Merseyside derbies, past Merseyside derbies as a collective, as we've all witnessed so many growing up. And Ed025 always complains these pods are too Liverpool centric. So here's your chance, Billy, to go all out Everton.
Well, I can only talk about derbies that I've been to, which is a lot.
We've got 100 years worth of them then.
Yeah, but Billy, you've got to keep it beyond the 18th century, mate, to give a chance. You know what I mean?
No, we've talked about this before. I've talked about it on the site of how good Merseyside derbies were years ago. I know I sound really old, and I probably am, but derbies years ago, really looked forward to them. The atmosphere was fantastic. People going together to the game, Reds and Blues all walking together on the same bus and then getting on the bus or whatever and having a drink together. And about 15 years ago, I'd go outside, it all stopped.
Would you say it's only 15 years ago? I'd have said it was after high schools when you got banned that it started to change.
So let's put this into...
Because I remember my uncles coming back with spit all over them from Everton fans and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes both ways, by the way.
No, I'm not saying it wasn't. It wasn't both ways. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying because obviously, like.
So let's put this into context, lads. Let's put it into context. You guys are Liverpool born and raised, so you're Scousers, Liverpudlians. So this is not. It's coming from you. It's authentic primary information.
Yeah, the derbies at Wembley when we had the two finals at Wembley were absolutely fantastic. I don't know any years when, but it was the best atmosphere I've ever encountered in football in my life. The camaraderie was brilliant. Going from the train from Lime Street and everyone together in carriages and all singing and then getting to the pub and singing again at each other. And it was absolutely incredible social gathering. And I'm just so sorry it all went sour, you know?
So, Billy, the question Tristan asked, when and why did they turn from a friendly derby, a super family friendly derby, into a fractured one? Because when I was growing up in London, the Liverpool derby was a shining example of how football fans from one city were in solidarity, and then it just seemed to change overnight. Why did it change, And when did it change?
Well, I think Tris has an idea that it was after Heislow or whatever happened. But
Okay.
I think it's more of a social thing, you know.
Probably a bit of both, I would say. You know, that
Yeah.
began it. Like, because obviously Everton fans are upset because they got banned from Europe as well through no fault of their own.
Yeah, I can see that. But I think people's attitude has changed as well towards other people, even in their own families and their own friends. There's a nastiness now that was never there. It was always nastiness with Man United fans, Leeds fans, some of the London clubs fans. There was a bit of nastiness there, and I've seen it with travelling away and that. But when it's your own, it really hurts, you know.
But you can't put a finger on it per se, right? To when it started.
I can't say that there was one definite time. But the last derby I went to would be maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And I swore after that I'd never go to another derby again.
Did you say 8 or 9 or 89?
8 or 9, probably.
Just checking.
But I heard things said and sung and chanted at the game, the Goodison, and I thought I don't need that, you know. I don't need to hear what was being said. Really put me off football, as well as I still love football, but it put me off because people were so nasty to each other. And I'm not talking about just singing. Their expression on the faces of hatred towards each other, you know, and it was not a nice thing to see.
Now, did that transcend into families as well, or was it just on the terraces? Like when you got home and you got family gatherings, was there any kind of animosity or anything? Or
no, it never has in the family, my family of and circle of friends. We still have banter. We chat. There's never ever been any violence over football that I've known in my own direct circle of friends and family.
Fully agree on that one, Billy.
What?
Fully agree on that one. We still, you know, the family you still give each other stick.
Absolutely. And that's all part of it, and that's always been the fun of football with me, was that, you know, laugh at them when they're down, cheer them when they're up, but have a bit of respect for people. And I think that, you know, I sound an old man now, but there's a lack of respect.
What do you mean now?
Yeah, but it's not nice now. I don't think I'd feel safe at the ground like I used to. I could go to Anfield, go in the Kop, you know, with a blue scarf on. There'd be no problem whatsoever. One of my mates used to get us tickets, but he was a Liverpool supporter, and we'd go in the ground, and I'd have a blue scarf on and Everton shirt, and there wouldn't be the hint of trouble, even if Everton won, which hasn't happened often. But yeah, and I just miss all that, you know.
I was thinking of something else as well, Bill. Do you think a lot of it is to do with the fact that it became so expensive? You know, after the stadiums changed to all seaters, so you stopped having people who would go whichever team was at home. Like my dad, when he was at university, he used to go with his mates, and they were half blue, half red, and they'd go to whichever team was at home. It didn't matter. They'd either Liverpool or Everton, whichever one was at home. So they'd just go and see both teams. But you can't do that anymore because it's so expensive.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the problem.
And it's probably part of the problem, sir. It's just that to be a Merseysider meant something, you know. And you know, we used to sing Merseyside, and it reverberated around Wembley and around, you know, Goodison or Anfield. And it was so nice, you know, you felt euphoric, you felt a little tingling in the ears standing on the back of your neck. And it was a great feeling to have. We were all one family. And it changed, and it's not, it's certainly not what it used to be anyway.
But do I recollect the last time I went to a Merseyside derby, Anfield, there was segregation of the two fans. Is that correct? Because I'm trying not to believe it, but I think that's the case.
Yeah, it is now. Segregated.
That's ridiculous.
There is, you see the odd one or
No,
two.
I'm talking about outside when we're walking up to the ground after we left Anfield, there was segregation. The police were cordoning off Everton fans.
Yeah, that will happen. Yeah,
But that never used to happen back in the day, right?
No,
it
everyone just
didn't
went
used
together.
to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's how bad it's got. I mean, again, I can't pinpoint, and you guys can't either. But that's sad. Anyway, let's talk about something happy, more positive. Give us your first recollection of Merseyside derby. Your first recollection of a Merseyside derby. How it, what, where it was, who you went with, kind of thing. You know, and keep it this century, Billy.
I thought you were going to say keep it clean.
Just so we can kind of half Google it, maybe.
I wouldn't remember when I'm 63 years of age, so I can't remember the first one I went to. About 8 or 9. And I'd been with me brothers who were both Liverpool supporters, and they took me. And I remember going, I can't even remember, what year it was, but it was fantastic. And we were actually on the Cop. And I put it in front of a Barks. I was only 9, about 8 or 9. And I remember thinking it was fantastic, really crowded, but all the singing and all that, absolutely fantastic.
I'll tell you, my first recollection was in 1982 when Ian Rush scored 4 goals. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
It was but you're gonna like. In those days, there wasn't many live games on TV, so you kept abreast of the score on. Do you remember the BBC and the ITV and I remember watching World of Sport with Dickie Davis. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I didn't realise after that game, guys, Howard Kendall had a big clear out of players that particular derby, and amongst them were Brian Burrows. I think he went to Coventry after that. He became a Coventry legend.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know Steve McMahon was playing that game.
Yeah,
and
Breton.
they sold him to Villa, and then he went on obviously to have a pretty good career at Liverpool, ironically enough. And also Neville Southall played that game, and he didn't play again for 6 months. And look what he became.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then Howard Kendall got rid of a raft of players after that derby because he was so humiliated. He bought Trevor Stephen, Derek Mountfield, Peter Reid, Andy Gray, Kevin Ratcliffe, Gary Stevens. And then Everton obviously went on to have their purple patch and went on to win a Cup Winners' Cup, 2 league titles.
Speaking of derbies, did you ever hear about when Peter Reid got signed? Because he was a big Liverpool fan as a boy, and his family's Reds. Well, he had to go. He went to tell his parents after he'd signed, and he got in there, and it was just his mum was home, and he told his mum what had happened, he'd just signed for Everton, and he said, "Can you tell me that? Because I don't want to tell him. I don't want to be here when he finds out." And she said, "No, you're going to have to tell him." And he's like, "No, I can't tell her." Then he comes in through the door. So Peter Reid was hiding behind the curtains while she was telling him he'd signed. And it's a story he tells about one derby, and somebody's shouting, "You fucking useless twat," and all this. "I hope somebody breaks your bastard legs," and all this at him, at Peter Reid. "You fouling, dirty, useless," and all this. And he says, "Oh, come," and it was his uncle. He was giving him abuse all game.
But look what happened, though. Going back to all them after that derby, what happened? It was a springboard for your success, Billy. You bought a load of these British players in, and look at what happened.
We had a really good side then. We won Cup Winners' Cup in Rotterdam.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we were really looking a really quality side at the time. And do you know what? They never bought. They rested on the laurels, and we had the same nucleus of a side going in for the next season. And when you're at the top, you've got to buy.
Do you think that was the problem, or rather, wasn't it the year you sold Andy Gray and replaced him with Gary Lineker?
That
to me was the problem, if you ask me, because Andy Gray was a better team player. Gary Lineker was a better goal scorer, but Andy Gray was a better player, if you see what I mean, and he provided more for the team. That, to me, was the difference, rather than you rested on your laurels, I think.
But you won the title. You won it a few years apart, so you couldn't have rested on your laurels that much, because you won it one year, and then you won it 3 or 4 seasons later, so...
Yeah, we did, but I'll say... When all the better players were about and see teams strengthening and getting better players, I was very concerned at the time that we weren't really in for the bigger players. I know we got Lineker after the first one, but we never actually won the title with Lineker. And it bears out what Trish is saying. We were a better team without Gary Lineker, but he scored goals, and I don't know why that was. But we seemed a better team without him.
I think it's the same. He reminds you of Aubameyang's the same for me. You know, now at Arsenal, brilliant goal scorer, but not good for the team.
Yeah, yes, very possibly.
Sorry, I digressed then.
I don't even know what the question was anymore.
Well, you asked it.
You bored me to death, and I forgot it now. Billy, you know one player in your team in the heyday that I always had a lot of time for, and I thought he was a poor man's Hansen, but nonetheless an excellent player for me, was Mountfield.
Derek Mountfield, yeah. Very good.
Really? Sorry?
A very good centre-half.
How good was it? I mean, was he just... I mean, I know he was with Ratcliffe, right? Kevin Ratcliffe. Who was the better player?
Well, Ratcliffe was the better player.
What a player he was.
He was, you know, he was dead quick. He read the game really well.
Yeah.
And very, very underrated, Kevin Ratcliffe.
Special player him, I think.
I thought that Mountfield was just that piece of silky cloth. He was like that Hansen type player,
it's
you know?
Tash. You just loved his Tash.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about Howard Kendall. How good was he?
He was a great manager, a great man manager. And he was a winner. And he was just what Everton needed first time. But things got on top of him. And, you know, he's a great loss to the game now. But when he was one of the top managers, he could hold his own with all of them.
Lovely man as well.
Pardon?
Lovely fella as well. Genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy. And you don't get many of them now. And it's a shame. Characters. He was a character as well. And he was an Everton supporter, obviously, because he played for the club. And it makes sense. He knew what it was all about.
He always came across as a class act when being interviewed. Always.
Yeah.
Oh, he's brilliant. If you ever wanted anything for charity, he'd be the first man you'd call.
Yeah.
He would go a mile out of his way to do anything for anyone.
Yeah, he sorely missed him at Everton Football Club. Yeah, he went into a bit of a demise after the second time, and I don't know whether it was a good idea for him to come back. But
yeah, but there was issues off the field that attributed to his failings the second time round. So, I mean, Dalglish had the same thing. Second time round, he wasn't great, but the first time round, you got to give both guys. I mean, I know this isn't. I mean, we're going to talk about Dalglish in a bit because obviously he has he's had a massive impact on Merseyside derbies as well. But first time round, Howard Wilkinson, Howard Kendall was a massive. Yeah, was a massive thorn in Liverpool's side. There's no doubt about it. And it's got to be said, I'm pretty sure, and I go with the consensus that if you guys didn't get banned because of us at Heysel, a European ban, that team could have and probably would have won the European Cup.
Yeah, that's always going to be, a question mark. But we did have a very good side at the time.
Because that was
no
when you
denying
lost
it.
most of your top players to Rangers, weren't it then?
Yeah,
When the ban came in. Stevens and that.
Yeah, good player.
I don't like him. Who was it? Trevor Steven that broke Gary?
No, Gary
Jim Begley's
Stevens.
leg.
I was talking about the blonde one.
Oh no! Who's the one that broke? Trevor Steven broke Jim Beglin's leg, and he wasn't the same.
Yeah, but that was nothing to do with. He was wasn't he at Spurs then?
No, it was Liverpool. It was a derby match.
Oh, was it? I thought that was when he was at Spurs.
Yeah. No, it was a Trevor Steven. He broke Jim Beglin's leg in a derby.
Right.
Yeah.
To be fair, Beglin's crap. I only liked him because he had the same birthday as me, but he wasn't good. He wasn't really good enough for the Liverpool team of the day. He was for me, he was one of those first players you looked at and thought the side's on the decline because he just wasn't good enough.
No, he's not going to remember as a great player.
He's
I love
a
him as a
terrible
commentator.
pundit as well. God, he's awful, isn't he? He never actually sees what happens until the 45th replay.
I like him. He's entertaining.
Oh, he's a moron.
So, what was I going to say to you? Where were we before we digressed?
We were on the derbies, weren't we?
That's right. And what I was going to ask, Billy, when did Everton's decline start and why?
Now, there's a question for me. When did our decline start? I'd say when Colin Harvey took over from Kendall.
Right.
We were still a really good side, and everyone was saying, "Oh, it's a good move to get rid of Kendall." Harvey was the man behind the scenes all the time. But you're either number one or you're a number two, and I'm afraid Colin Harvey was number two. And number two is the right expression.
I was thinking. He was pretty number two when it came to it, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was, and we started to regress very quickly. And from being one of the elite when we won the league, last time we won it, and we were not buying players, not buying good players. I don't know who was in charge of the buying at the time, but we just never bought top quality. And that's always a slippery slope.
Players like Tony Cottee and that, wasn't it, started coming in.
Yeah. And to be fair, Cottee, give his heart and soul, but that's what all Everton have asked for, is for people to respect the shirt, give it 100%. And you look at the side now, and you couldn't name 3 or 4 players who actually you could say really give 100%. And that's probably in a lot of football because the money's ruined the game.
Oh, God, don't get him started now. Old person on a rant.
Guys, let's talk about, for me, my abiding memory about Merseyside derbies is the Hillsborough Cup final. And I want you guys to just give me your thoughts on that, because for me, it was very poignant and very impactful. But that was me in London. I can imagine it being, emotional to say the least, living up in Merseyside and living and breathing that cup final and the build up towards it, obviously because of Hillsborough. So give me your thoughts about that, lads. Share your thoughts for me.
Well, the biggest one of the biggest tragedies of my life, I'd say, was Hillsborough. And Evertonians were really with the Liverpudlians, you know. It's again, it was going back to the old derby days, you know what I mean, where you know, everyone was fighting for justice for the 96, and a lot of them were Everton supporters as well. And there was a great feeling that come out of a tragedy and a togetherness between the two clubs. And that was really good, but that's disappeared now. You have songs, you have songs about Hillsborough, and it's disgusting. It really is.
And Tristan?
I was just, I mean, I'm quite a bit younger than Billy. I'd just like to point out. So to me, I was still like a kid, and it was like I just remember I was just at the time I was going to school and people were spitting on me and calling me a murderer, and I wasn't even at the game. You know what I mean? We had nothing to do. And you know, it's so to me to sit and watch it. I just really wasn't. You know, it made me feel. It affected me in a way beyond football.
Where were you and how old were you? Were you in Liverpool at the time of Hillsborough?
At the time of Hillsborough, we were we'd moved down south because my mum and dad both worked, you know, down south.
Ah, right. I was going to say.
So no. That's what I was saying. It was like for me, it was totally. It brought it. See this. I think a lot of that Heysel and Hillsborough brought me closer to being, you know, more solid in my love for Liverpool, because it was like you were against everybody else because they all were just some of the things that you got called and said about, you know what I mean, about Liverpool and that. Some of the things you heard were just sickening, and it was just, you know, it wasn't a good time, and it was, to me, it was just sitting and watching it, because I couldn't get tickets, so, you know, it was difficult. That was one of the hardest games I think ever to get tickets for. You know, so you're watching it at home, and it's just like, it makes it, you know, it brought tears to your eyes, and that you don't really remember the game that much.
I remember the only thing I remember. The only thing I remember about that game is when John Aldridge scored and he ruffled somebody's head. Whose head did he ruffle when he scored? He's an Everton player.
I don't remember. I honestly can't remember. Like I'm saying, I can't remember much of the game. Was that the game that Grobbelaar and Hansen had a fist fight?
It can't have been a cup final. No, I can't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I remember my abiding memory. And listen, I if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I can remember vivid. I mean, just the only thing I can remember about that game is Aldridge scored, and he ruffled an Everton player's head when he scored because he was that happy. But it was an apt final. I mean, you can't make that up. You just can't. It's like Liverpool winning the title on 96 points. You cannot make stuff like that. Like in the year of Hillsborough, it would be a Liverpool-Everton final. Yeah. And boy, it was a great final. I mean, put aside all the drama and the emotion and everything, it was a fantastic final.
Yeah.
I mean, go on.
No, it's letting you go.
Yeah, but and then let's talk about obviously we're talking about Merseyside derbies. Let's talk about the derby that finished Dalglish's career at Liverpool the first time round. Give us a bit of context and background about that, Tristan and Bill.
That was the 4-4 game, and we won in the replay, 1-0.
Yeah, but you could see long before that he was going, weren't he? You could see it, he was trouble. He'd been asking for a break, and the board wouldn't give him one.
But is this at the point where he'd gone to every single funeral?
Yes.
At Hillsborough funeral. So
it's probably wasn't it like a year and a half or so later, wasn't it? 18 months, 2 years, even.
I'm not sure. Was it 2 years? I didn't realise it was that long later. I didn't realise. Hillsborough was 1986, correct?
89.
89, sorry, yes. 89. So when did Dalglish...
under him 89-90. the following
That was against
season.
Chelsea.
Last time we
Yeah,
won it, and then the
yeah,
following season was his last season, wasn't it? The 1991 season, and
gotcha.
he just couldn't. I mean, you could see. I mean, before that, I mean, he was making after Hillsborough, he was making strange decisions and that. Anyway, clearly the strain had got to him.
What, like David Speedy and what's that
Yeah.
winger he signed? I
Oh,
can't remember that.
Speedy was awful, but he had lost Jeff Twentyman as well, which didn't help. So, like, he'd been key in our success. So,
I suppose
yeah,
that.
91. It was 91 he left. Just checking, and he was
Yeah,
only out for a few months before he came back and went to Blackburn. All we needed to do was give him a break, really.
but didn't he ask for his job back? That's what he asked for, didn't he? And we'd
Yeah,
got Souness by that time. He actually said, "I want my job back. Just can I have it back?" And they didn't give it back to him.
yeah, that was a mistake. Big
Well,
mistake.
in hindsight, of course
Well,
it is.
even
With
at the
20,
time, it was clearly a mistake. Souness was not the right man at all at any point. Nobody thought, from the moment he came in and the way he acted. When he sold Staunton, that was ripped the heart out of the club at the time because Staunton was a key player.
yeah, but nobody before he signed thought it was a bad move. I was a fervent Liverpool supporter then, jingoistic and so partisan, and everybody was excited for Graham Souness coming in because it was part of the old boot room, and it was a
Oh,
continuation of the boot room. Yeah,
nobody
you
I
can
knew
say
was keen. Everybody I knew was just upset that Dalglish wasn't allowed to take a break and come back.
absolute. That's not. Yeah, I
That was
understand
all.
that. But
Nobody wanted Souness at all within the club, from what I remember. I mean, obviously this is a long time ago, and I
you
was,
obviously you had inside information,
I
but
just remember
everybody
them
that I
being a bit, everyone wanted, and the other thing was, and it was like Roy Evans was very upset at being overlooked, just again, because
yeah,
he thought the
but
job was his when Dalglish was given it.
yeah.
And it was like, you're slapping me in the face again. Yeah, so I don't remember Souness being greeted with universal approval at all, to be honest. Or even any approval, but that might just be who I knew was disagreeing with it. Oh God, you two have gone off, like the VPN's gone off. Apologies, so rather than keep whittering on, because I've got not a lot to say about that, I'm going to pause it.
Where's it from?
Just where I was talking about Souness, about Evans
Okay.
felt like he was slapping the face.
All
So
right,
go
then
from there.
I'll start. Yeah, okay. Tell me when.
Now, it's already started.
Okay. Souness had been courted by Liverpool once before he took the job, and he rejected it. And while he was at Glasgow Rangers, because he was doing so well at Glasgow, and he was great mates with the is it Murray or something there? I can't remember the guy's name, the owner.
Yeah,
And
Murray.
that's right. Yeah. And then, to be fair, Souness took the job, and he did what he did. I mean, he made a complete. I mean,
When was he
whichever way you look at it, whichever way you look at it, he messed it up, right? And he said by his own admission, to be fair to him, he said it was the biggest mistake of my life taking the Liverpool job.
Well, he turned it into the biggest mistake, I think, is what he should have said.
Well, clearly, yeah, because I mean, he regretted taking it, and he was man enough to admit it. I mean, at that point, I think I was all for Alan Hansen taking it, and I thought Alan Hansen would have been he would have been yeah, he didn't want it. I mean, what could have been with Alan Hansen?
Should have been Roy Evans at the time.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it should have just been a case of you sit in until Dalglish, give Dalglish a break.
So why didn't they? Were they bitter that he left?
The board have always been a bunch of amateurs at Liverpool. This has always been a problem until we've been so far behind the curve. It's been, Shankly's constantly had to fight with them. Paisley had trouble with them. It's been a constant theme throughout Liverpool's history that the board have thought they knew better than anybody else, and that's where it goes wrong. Is the board don't have a bloody clue about football, but they think they do, and that's what went wrong there. They thought they knew better.
I think at this juncture, we have to give a eulogy about the King, because if we're talking about Merseyside derbies, I think Kenny Dalglish deserves an extra special mention, because especially what he did around Hillsborough and what he did for the football club and what he's done for Merseyside and what he's done for charities, charitable causes him and his wife have done in Merseyside. I think he deserves an extra special mention.
He's a fantastic person, not just a fantastic footballer, but a fantastic human being. And
Absolutely.
to go to all them funerals, and it must have been so hard for him, and to represent the club. And he should have had a knighthood a long time before he actually did. And I've got nothing but respect for the man.
Well said. Here, buddy. To go to, and I'm not sure if this is true. I mean, I hear this being rolled around, thrown about, but I can't believe it to be actually true, because it seems like a physical impossibility. Not that he wouldn't want to do it, but it just seems like it's not practical and you physically can't do it. Is he went to every single Hillsborough funeral, or he made sure that it was Liverpool players represented.
Sure representation. He went to as many as he physically could.
Yeah, and then he made sure that first team players were at the actual funerals.
Yeah,
and
John
you're right.
Aldridge attended loads as well, and
and you got, Bill, you're right about the guy should have had a knighthood much sooner than he did, because it's this transcends football. This type of humanity transcends kicking a ball about. This is about life. This is about human beings, and this is about just being a fantastic human being. Knight the man beforehand. I mean, you give these idiots that are like, I don't know, for Z-list celebrities honours, but you won't give somebody like that an honour. You have to wait till he's 68 or 70 to do it.
Yeah, he definitely deserves a special mention, and he's, he was a great footballer, no doubt about that, but he's a better human being than he was a footballer.
My God, was he a footballer, Billy? I mean, we're going to come and talk about that in a bit, because what I want you guys to do is I want to talk about Liverpool and Everton favourite players and pick a dream Merseyside derby 11, and we're going to call it Liverton. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe we should just do that now, because I'm sure Kenny gets into that team for sure.
Yeah, he's one of the two Liverpool's players who get in.
But if it's a derby match, surely it's got to be Rush up front. If it's to play,
all right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's pick the first. First of all, let's pick the manager.
Ooh.
The manager would have to be Bob Paisley, I think. I think he's one of the best managers there's ever been. And although I like Kendall, I really like Kendall. I think it's got to be...
not Colin Harvey then, no?
No, not Colin. No.
He'd be the number two.
Great footballer, but that's a good one.
All right, so I think
Kendall was the School of Science, weren't it, Bill?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How about we go for Bob Paisley as the manager, and then Howard Kendall as his number two?
Yeah, we can have that.
You agree, Tristan?
Fine with that. Both of them were great managers.
Absolutely. All right, let's left back.
Now we've got to start with the keeper first.
Oh, sorry, keeper. I forgot.
So obviously it's got to be Pickford, hasn't it?
This is a toughie, because Neville Southall was a frigging colossus of a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
literally
absolutely.
a colossus.
He literally is a colossus. Yeah, he was a supreme goalkeeper.
Yeah, he was. Another great keeper was Ray Clements.
Clements
was brilliant. Bruce
Oh my
is the
God.
one I remember from the derbies, because that was my era. So
Brucey bonus, eh? You always got a Brucey bonus with Brucey in goal.
He's pulled off some sensational saves, though.
Well, yeah, but did he mean them?
But I mean, how did they claim he made saves by accident? I mean, come on. How do you make a
It's just-
save by accident? I mean, you know.
How do you know? But how do you make world class saves like that by
Yeah,
accident?
exactly. I mean, it'd be
Of course.
easy to just miss it. Be much
Yeah,
easier.
exactly.
Yeah,
Those saves he made were by design. How can you not make them saves? They're like, it'd be easier to let the ball in and just be 2 foot away from it, right?
yeah. Or just get fingertipping inside, without.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we doing then, guys? This is a tough one.
Who else did Everton? Who were the other Everton keepers? If they had it, because I only
They
remember
all-
Southall.
Yeah, but they pale into insignificance
Yeah, but I
against
was
South.
just thinking there must be so. Who did the
Oh,
Everton
today.
or Southall?
Nigel Martin, very good keeper.
Yeah, but not in the class of.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he's not in this class, so he's not under consideration, and obviously Pickford. So basically, it's between Clem, Brucey, and Neville Southall, isn't
Southall.
it? Basically,
The
it's
reason
like
why I would go for Southall.
Between the two of them, Southall and Ray
Clement.
Clement.
The reason I'd go for Southall is because he never had. Oh, he had. Clements had great defenders behind him, and Southall played through this ahead of him. Sorry, with Neville Southall, he had great defenders, and he didn't have great defenders, and he had great defenders, and it was never constantly an excellent defence ahead of him.
Oh, he was a fabulous keeper. I mean, you saw it for Wales. I mean, this is a man who got man of the match when the team lost 7-0, and yet he produced something like 17 saves or something, and all of them were world class for Wales against
What did
Holland.
you call him? Oh, I thought you called him a white. Oh God,
No,
sorry, I
Dustbin
missed
Man.
it.
He was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my ex's mother I was watching the football and she was there, and I said about, oh, there's the Dustbin Man. It was, and game was on, and he's there, and she's like, Dustbin Man. I said, yeah. I said, does he have another job? It's like, oh God, he just looks like one.
I'm all for giving it to Southall, to be honest with you. Although I
I'd
love.
go with Southall.
Yeah, but Southall, yeah.
Plus, there's not likely to be many other Everton players getting in there, so they're going to have
was
somebody
just about
in,
to
really.
say, mate, we'll give you one. The rest of them are frigging Liverpool.
I mean, Dewey's
And
got
Bill,
to
you
be,
know,
where are we
we-
going to put Dewey? He's got to play.
Mate, we gave you that out of pity.
Second year coming now.
Right, left back.
Okay.
Phil Neal?
Left back, don't you start right? See how that normally when you're putting a team together, because it's one is goalkeeper, two is right back, isn't it, Bill? In the old days, the number system,
But
it
it's
used to be
modern
one was
times
goalkeeper,
now. We've got
two
the
is
internet
right
and
back.
everything, electricity, TVs are colour, HD definition, everything.
When did they go colour? No.
All right back. It's either got to be.
Stevie
It's
Nicol,
got to be Trent,
surely.
isn't it? Who?
Stevie Nicol. If we're doing derby matches.
Oh right, yeah, and we got to go back. Oh yeah. Listen, the caveat was we can't do somebody. It's got to be
I was
pre.
thinking I was not going to use current players.
No current players. It's got to be pre Kenny Dalglish first time. The Kenny Dalglish era first time round, and the heyday era of Kendall, because that's the only way we're going to get an Everton player in.
No, it's not.
So say they got.
Oh, this I want to hear. I want to hear.
Older Dixie Dean.
Yeah.
Who?
Dixie Dean, one of the greatest footballers of all time.
All right, so we got one in, one more in.
So
All right, so right back. Go on. Sorry, left back.
Aren't we? So, I couldn't argue with Steve Nicol.
And he could fit in midfield as well, all along the left-hand side.
Yeah, you put
No,
him in
just leave
anywhere,
him.
can't you? But I just can't think of a better right back pre-Trent, and Rob Jones, maybe.
Phil Neal.
Phil Neal was a good player.
Yeah, he was a good player. So was Tommy Smith and that, but Steve Nicol was just special.
All right, so we
You've got to put
agree on
Steve Nicol in somewhere. If you're putting a team present day, Liverpool and Everton, Steve Nicol is in there somewhere because he is just one of the best players I've ever seen.
To be honest, he'd probably getting into the team now anyway. If we're picking from modern day players.
You'd find somewhere to put him, yeah.
All right, so that's.
I mentioned for Seamus Coleman as well, who's been a fantastic servant. But he's present day, I suppose, still counts as a present day.
Yeah, and I just don't think he's quite at that kind of level. He's very good, but not at the kind of level of like where you're talking, where you had Stevens, wasn't it? Was your right back?
Yeah.
Gary, and Steve Nicol, Phil Neal, Tommy Smith, these were world class players. You know what I mean? Proper players. I just think Seamus Coleman, great player, but not not a step below, I think.
Right back.
Do you not think so, Bill?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So we're on Steve Nicol, and then we're going to the left back.
Oof. I don't know who to put. I don't know who I'd pick for that.
Leighton Baines? Or because he's retired now, so he must count.
Yeah, he count, but is he like your best left back you've had in there? Surely you must have had better. Who was the Howard Kendall's left back? I can't remember now. That's what I was trying to think of.
Left back. I'm trying to think now.
Well, he can't have been that good.
Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, there's Alan Kennedy's an obvious one, but I was just a bit like, I mean, he wasn't really the greatest player, was he? With due respect to him, loved him, but he wasn't like the level of Steve Nicol, for instance. He was that level down. He was great, but not like Seamus Coleman sort of thing, where he's a great player, but he's not the best player in the team. You know what I mean?
Pat Van der Now.
Ah, that's it. Van der Now. Yeah, he was a bit of a dick, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he can't get in the team.
Yeah, I know, but he was a bit of a... No, I mean, on the pitch, he was a bit of a dick as well. He was really... You just couldn't take to him, I think. Rather than he wasn't a good player. He was just one of those people you just wanted to punch rather than watch play. Wasn't he, Bill?
If he benched you first, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
He just really... He was just one of those players that just couldn't take to him. I couldn't. I mean, there's some of them, some Everton players I love, but some you just. It's the same with Liverpool players. There's some you just can't take to, isn't there?
No.
Oh,
no.
Luis Suarez for me.
Yeah, he's not good.
What do you think, left back? Van Howe or Kennedy?
Probably Alan Kennedy.
All right.
It's a tough one, that. Yeah, all Baines. Because good servant. I don't know. I'd probably go with Kennedy over him, to be honest. If I was picking a team and I had to pick one at their peak, I think Kennedy would just edge it. Baines was a bit
What about
lacking
Steve Staunton?
Pace for the...
What about Steve Staunton?
Yeah, because at his best, he was brilliant at left back.
He was formidable at his best. Peerless.
Souness sold him. That was, yeah. I'd actually forgotten he was left back. I was thinking of him as a centre half. But yeah, you're right.
And Souness, all right, he might have sold him too early, but he did have actually, to be fair, he had a stellar career when he left. He went to Villa, didn't he? He had a great career.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just came back and he wasn't the same player when he came back.
Yeah. Let's. Are you okay with? Are you okay with Steve Staunton, Billy?
Yes, Steve Staunton. Yeah.
Cool. You're going to go down the pub when lockdown's over. Your friends are going to kill you after they hear it. They're going to call you a traitor and a Judas. They're going to spit on you and everything.
They do that anyway. What's that got to do with it?
Yeah.
We're going to be an even bigger traitor. I want Alan Hansen on his side.
Well, listen, Alan Hansen's you can't. There's absolutely no way you can. All right, so Alan Hansen is there because he's just the best.
Would you put him alongside Ratcliffe?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. Yeah, I'd put him along with Ratcliffe. I think they'd have been great together, actually. Although I don't know them because they were a good partnership, but I'd love to have seen him with Ratcliffe. It was so quick. And so well.
And Ratcliffe would have done the dirty work for him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he used to make Lawrenson head the ball so he didn't have to damage his head. And it shows because Lawrenson's not got all his marbles, has he? Let's be honest.
But yeah, that's a great pairing. Actually, that's a great pairing. Lawrenson and Ratcliffe, yeah, as Hanson as Ratcliffe as the centre backs. So we've got Southall in goal. We've got fullbacks Nicol and Staunton, and we've got Hanson and Kevin Ratcliffe for the centre backs. Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go right midfield?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I always loved Craig Johnston, to be honest with you.
And me, but he wasn't the best player in the world.
No, he wasn't.
But he wasn't the best player in the world.
Yeah.
Tricky Trevor Stephen.
Kanchelskis, I was thinking for a short period, if only he'd played longer for you, I think he'd have been a shoe-in, wouldn't he? Because he was fabulous player.
Yeah, really good.
Oh God, that's a Steve Highway. No, Stevie Highway was
left more than that, right? Yeah. Than I remember, didn't he? Steve Highway.
Yeah.
Jordan Ibe.
I'm trying to think who played on the. I'm trying to think who's played on the. That's really confusing. Oh, sure.
Billy Liddell, Ian Callahan.
Yeah, Callahan was some player.
How do you know? You're younger than I am, and I don't even remember him.
I've seen plenty of footage, mate. I've seen old videos.
Oh, right.
The Golden Vision, Alec Young. Yeah. Before your time, I think.
Yeah, I remember him I only remember him from old football programs because being that my uncle has a huge collection of old football programs, and I used to sit and read them. I've read thousands of them.
I got one. It's going to be, he's peerless. Ray Houghton or Peter Beardsley.
Pete Beardsley played in the centre.
Well,
Ray Houghton only played one good season for Liverpool and then he was crap. And my mum always blamed that because she bought me his book for Christmas or birthday. I forget which. Must have been birthday because obviously it's mid-season was summer. So it would have been my birthday. And then he was terrible the following season and she always blamed it on getting me that book. He was great for the Republic of Ireland. He was awful for Liverpool after his first season. Terry Mack used to play on the right at times, didn't he?
I think you got to give it to Kanchelskis, to be honest with you.
Kanchelskis was a very good player.
Come on, he was. What a speedster! But he was more
than just quick. Great crosser of the ball as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Billy, you okay with that? Tristan, you okay with that?
Yeah, I rate him so.
We love him. Right. Centre and mid?
No, we got left winger now, Johnny Barnes.
Yeah. Has to be.
Yeah.
Gotta be it.
Class act, yeah.
I can't even think of anyone at Everton ever that'll have ever compared to him at left wing or anybody else at Liverpool either.
I don't think anybody's comparable in. I mean, who else in world football apart from maybe Ronaldo when he was on the left? But I'm not even sure that.
No,
I'm not sure I've seen a better left winger in my life.
No, not me.
Very good player. Yeah, he's a shoo-in. Yeah, Barnes is a shoo-in.
Okay, mate. Let's talk about
central midfield then, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be Souness.
I love Souness as a player. Not as a person, but as a player. Absolutely fantastic player. You've
How
got
about Norman
Kendall,
White?
Harvey, and to go in that as well, but where would you fit in?
Who played best alongside Souness? Who would play best? You don't need Peter Reid. I mean, he was great, but he wasn't like this level, was he? He was just a bit slow and that.
Norman Whiteside?
Norman Whiteside? I thought he was Man United.
He was Everton as well.
I don't remember him in a derby though playing well. I thought we were picking because of how they played in derbies. That's what I was thinking.
I'm just trying to get you.
I remember him playing well against Everton, but I don't remember him playing well for Everton in the derby matches. Maybe I'm wrong.
he was all right. Never one of my most favourite players, I must admit.
No, I can't remember him being good for Everton at all. I remember him being great for Man United when he scored when.
Yeah.
My mate, right? My mate did podiatry at Southampton University, and Norman Whiteside was on his course in his class. And my mate come back and he goes, "You're into football, aren't you?" I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, there's this guy. He's in my class, podiatry class at Southampton University, and his name's Norman something." I went, "Norman Whiteside?" He goes, "Yeah." I goes, "You're sharing a classroom with Norman Whiteside?" He goes, "Yeah." Couldn't believe it. What a story.
It's the kind of thing you
Anyway.
don't really tell people if it was a Liverpool university, you wouldn't be telling people.
I don't know. I thought it was a nice anecdote. I liked it. Anyway, so central
If
midfield.
on derbies, you've got to put Steven Gerrard in. He was immense in derbies.
Yeah, you got a point there.
As a footballer, you'd have to put him in.
Yeah, but wasn't he a bit samey as Souness?
Yeah, he was a bit the same as Souness. And Souness, fantastic footballer. But if we're going longevity as well in derbies, I think might be in before Souness.
And he always scored against Everton as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Billy's hit that. I think you're right there, Bill. Out of the. Yeah. All right then.
Yeah.
So who do we put alongside Gerrard? And are we still stick on with Souness? Because I don't think they were that samey, to be honest.
I think
Gerrard was more about just hard running and physical play, whereas Souness was, he was in an era before that.
It's still hard running and physical play.
Yeah, but it was more than. I mean, they were both more than that. They passing range. Shooting.
So they were both samey.
Oh, and the other fella as well. What a player!
Xabi
He was,
Alonso.
the big fat fella.
Xabi
No,
Alonso.
Jan Molby he's talking about. We're talking about in derbies. I don't remember Xabi really having any major moments in a derby, whereas Jan Molby was.
Molby, what a player he was as well.
But he never moved. The ball just seemed to go to him, didn't it?
He didn't run. He's a great player, Jan Molby.
Yeah. He was a beer barrel. How can you be so great without actually moving though? I mean, it's the only player I've ever seen. When he retired, he got slimmer.
It was all head, wasn't it? He was clever. Very clever footballer. So
What about Ronnie Whelan?
Ronnie, do you know what? Liverpool's supporters at the time never had a great deal of love for Ronnie Whelan. I don't know why.
But you know what, mate? He's like Ginny. He's like Ginny Wijnaldum. He's so important to the team, but he's unsung.
Yeah.
Sammy Lee was another one. Liverpool fans just didn't take to him.
Yeah.
He was just in the team because he was a scouser rather than because he could play. And to be fair, he wasn't the best player. But he works so hard, sometimes, it makes up for being... I think Ronnie Whelan was the same. He didn't look like he was skillful, but he was a fantastic player.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? Gerrard and Souness?
And Kendall, Ball, Harvey. I mean, there's quite a few to choose
from
here.
How could you leave Alan Ball out?
I think you've got to put Alan Ball in. I mean, Shankly was desperate to sign him.
Fantastic player.
Yeah.
The first to wear white boots.
Yeah. I had a pair of them, Alan Ball, laced up at the sides.
Before my time, Bill, and I would have never worn white boots anyway. Christ, I'd have got leathered if I'd have come home with a pair of white boots on.
How many shillings
Who do you think you are? That's what I'd have got off my mum.
12 and 60, man.
How many shillings?
12 and 6.
I don't even know what that means, but I know it's funny.
Sounds expensive to me.
12 shillings and 6.
That's like that's a week's wages for most people then.
They were expensive, yeah.
So we're going Alan Ball and Graham Souness, or Alan Ball and Steven Gerrard in the field?
I'd go for Gerrard.
Yeah, it's a derby.
What he done in Derby.
How can you How can you guys look over Souness, man? He was.
No, Souness is, in my opinion, the greatest central midfield player of all time. He's the best I've seen. But in derby matches, he wasn't there long enough for that to for him to have as much of an effect as Gerrard.
Absolute rubbish.
Gerrard had
That's
so many times.
bumping.
I mean, admittedly, the Everton teams he was facing weren't half as good as the ones Souness was facing. So
There you
is
go.
that.
There you go.
So many derbies, didn't he? He affected. So he scored that
Yeah.
many goals.
That's what I mean. Gerrard, so many times he scored against Everton.
Against, with all due respect, Billy, inferior opposition in comparison
Yeah,
to.
but we've got to go with the longevity, surely. I mean, Souness was only there for a few years, remember?
Yeah,
Before he went off to
Listen,
Italy.
I'm sticking to Souness, but I'm getting outvoted anyway, so it's 2-1. So it's going to be a Gerrard Souness midfield. Sorry, Gerrard ball midfield.
Yeah.
All right, up front, and there can't be any arguments about this one. It's got to be the King and Rush up front.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In derby matches, you have to have Rush. It's that simple. He scored so often against you. Like, you must have hated him, Bill.
Yeah, he was. Oh, he's a great goal scorer, wasn't he? And
But you must have hated him, must you? Every time you saw his name on the team sheet, you must have just gone, "Oh, for God's sake!"
he loved scoring. Yeah, his derby record is fantastic. But
who was supplying all the bullets? The bullets were being supplied by Dalglish, McDermott, Souness.
Yeah, but you still got to put it in the back of the net.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. That Souness should have been in that midfield. That's what I'm saying.
Oh God! You're not going to leave that one out alone, are you?
You can leave out Souness. I don't know. Call yourself a
Because it's a
footballer.
bloody derby day thing.
You haven't even done the research to know that Souness how much he affected the derbies. You're just saying it because you can't. You're lazy.
Actually,
that's why.
I had a video of Souness and I used to watch it of Souness in the derby games. Bought it from Poundland. There was two of them. I got one that was Souness, one that was just Souness.
You just made that up to prove your point.
I watched it till it wore out as a kid.
Poppycock. You're lying. You're lying.
No, my uncle had a copy of one of them as well. You got it in Poundland. Video. That's how old it was.
Yeah.
It was VHS.
Because I could corroborate that, can't I?
Yeah, ask him.
Hang on, let me just phone up head office of Poundland and corroborate that story.
Yeah, go on then.
That you've just made up to make sure that your narrative is a truthful one.
I used to watch. Souness was the player I modelled my game on. I wanted to play like him. Except I wasn't as good. I tended not to win the ball so much as hit the person behind. I tended to miss out the bit where you get the ball as well.
All right, guys. Are you happy with that, Brian, Billy?
I'd like to have seen Bob Latchford there, but I can give you a rush. Yeah, I can give you a rush.
And you got to give me Kenny as well.
Yeah, I'll give you Kenny as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You can't compare with Kenny, is there? Except maybe Dixie Dean.
You're saying Dixie Dean, people who score goals, you couldn't leave Dixie Dean. How could you? But he's before.
It was a different era as well, wasn't it? And everybody scored. Goals were much easier to come by, so it's difficult to compare.
Yeah, I'll give you the Dalglish and Rush as the derby force. Yeah.
And Tristan, what do you think?
Oh, it has to be Dalglish and Rush for me. They'd be the ones you'd pick from my remembrance. Obviously, before that, Billy Liddell would be the one big question for Liverpool wise, but he was before my time. But it's just me granddad used to go on about him. Didn't
you have a Poundland video on Billy Liddell?
No, I don't even know if there was any videos of him. Mate, honestly, you could get one, and I wore it out. There was two of them they did. One was just Souness, was just a story of his career. Lots of footage of him playing. and the other was
Yeah.
about him, his derby matches. It was just two on. I don't know why it was Souness. I don't know.
Because it
Obviously-
wasn't Souness. You just made
No,
it
was.
up.
One
That's
was actually
why.
just called Souness, and I can't remember what the other one was called.
What? Did you just make that name up? How apt.
No, honestly, mate, I watched it
You
so
believe
often
in
it
Billy?
wore out.
Billy, do you believe him?
I can't disbelieve him, can I? He says it's
Every time I'm going to try and prove my point, I'm going to say there's a Poundland, go and get it.
If there's a Poundland video on it, football wise, I've bought it because I used to just go in there to look for videos and DVDs and that. I had about four copies of the original cartoon Transformers movie. I had about 4 because I kept buying DVD because I kept buying more because I didn't know if they wore out like videos because it was in the early days of DVDs.
All right, guys, thanks for that trip down memory lane. So, as promised, let's talk about some transfer news from the Premiership and beyond.
Are we going to start
ready,
with the big
guys?
Everton news? The big Everton
Go on.
transfer, yeah?
Go
Start
on,
with
mate.
that one, yeah, Billy?
Tell me some big news, Trish.
Yeah, the big Everton move. He's moved from Sao Paulo to Grêmio on a free transfer as Everton. So, that's about the best signing Everton will make this year.
What? All right, so let him have his moment, Billy.
Yeah, I will do, yeah.
So since we last spoke, City are rumoured to have sealed a deal for Koulibaly. What'd you make of that? Tristan, just pause it there, mate. I need a pee.
Ah.
So basically,
Recording.
go.
Yeah.
So what do you think about-
Koulibaly?
Yeah, Koulibaly.
Great player, isn't he?
Do you think so? I'm not mad keen on him. He's one of those. He reminds me of Otamendi. He's rash. He's all about pace and power. He's just basically a quicker Otamendi, which, for me, it doesn't suit the City way of playing. They defend they press up. You know what I mean? Try and catch the players out with a press. At that, fine. But he's very poor positional wise. So he can be caught out by a quick ball over the top, which is a weakness with a press anyway. He's very reliant on his pace and power, so he'll just go in and foul, throw himself in bodily and try and stop things. And he tends to give away a lot of fouls. You can get away with it in Italy. You can't tend to get away with it in the Premier League because it's a much higher level. Most of the games are much higher level than he's used to playing in Italy.
I like him, I'll be honest with you, I do. I think he's
good, but not great. I think he's a mistake. He's just an Otamendi.
Mine's not good if they're going to pay a hell of a lot of money for him.
He's 29 as well, and he had bad injuries this season. The kind of muscular injuries that get worse and slow you down.
I'm not sure.
I think he reads the game well. I know you don't, Tris, but I think he reads the game well.
Well, he never did. Every time I've watched him play against Liverpool, he's been utterly awful at that.
He's always there or thereabouts.
But he's not. You watch him, he's always chasing the play. He's always sliding in, making last-ditch tackles because he's been caught out and having to chase back. If you watch him, he's always behind. When he's that quick, he should be in. There's no reason for him to be behind the play. He should always be in front of an attacker.
Excuse me.
I'm not. I think he's a good player, but he's massively overrated because he makes all these last-ditch tackles that he shouldn't need to make. A bit like Harry Maguire was when he was at Leicester. People were raving about him because he makes a last-ditch tackle, and I'm there thinking, if you'd just been positioned right, you'd have seen out the danger without needing to make a challenge.
Is he a left-sided centre-back?
Usually plays left, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've just bought Ake. They've already got Laporte for that role, so it does make you wonder.
Yeah.
So basically, what would you rate out of 10 there, Ake and Koulibaly on average as buyers? I would give that about a 6.5, 7, to be honest with you, and that's a lot of money they're going to spend because that would. I mean, I'm pretty sure they won't get Koulibaly for less than 50, 60 million, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to cost that.
It all depends on fitness, I think.
So that's 100 million. If those figures are correct, that's 100 million on two defenders. And to be honest, both of them are not world class players.
And
For that amount of money, you'd expect a world class player.
And
At
neither are
least,
really what City needs, is what I'm thinking. They'd been better playing Rodri at the back than doing that.
I mean, with that money, you could have gone out and get that Jimenez from Atletico.
Yeah, now he's a player. He's fabulous.
But that's what I'm saying. That they could have gone out and They don't. I don't think they needed two centre backs.
Ooh, I think they did. They needed centre backs desperately, but I don't know if Ake will play centre back. To be honest, I'm still not convinced that he's bought just to play centre back. I think it's left back as much as anything.
I think he's very average, okay.
Yeah,
he's a good player, but he's not one you'd say, "Oh, I'd love him in my side." He's a bit of another mill for me. He'll do a job for you, but he's not one who you'd say, "Oh, what a stellar signing he is,"
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he'll have one amazing game and he'll have 3 or 4 average ones.
Yeah.
He's another one who doesn't read the game well. He's often caught. And I mean, the lad doesn't even want to play in defence. He wants to play in midfield. He said that publicly a number of times.
He's meant to be a very nice human being, a very nice individual. Helps a lot charity, does a lot of stuff for the clubs in the community. Takes on a lot of work. He's got a great work ethic. He'll fit in and wherever he goes, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I don't think he's the right buy.
You think that they haven't stopped spending yet, have they? They've got. I don't know what that Torres is like that they've bought. He looked on the YouTube highlights and some of the games I've watched that he played in. He weren't bad, but I'm not sure. I'm not a great. I wouldn't be the best person to ask about his abilities. Anybody know much about him?
No, I don't know much about it. Torres.
Only a little bit. I've only seen a little bit.
And
looks a good player, to be honest.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. What's that?
You're sick. This one's cool.
All right, 1 minute. Baines proudly shows off his cap.
Yeah. I thought that was appropriate.
I don't understand the fridge one.
No, I don't know. I thought I was going to ask you to explain it to me after. It's supposed to be the first picture of Harry Maguire being leaked to the internet, but like being arrested, but I didn't get it.
Oh, right. The third one's hilarious. Just for context, Ed001 is sending us.
These are from Bazza in Louth, if you're wondering. A regular poster. It's Billy's son.
Where is Louth?
It's in Ireland somewhere.
What islands?
Ireland.
Oh, in Ireland. I thought you said it's in the island somewhere.
No, Ireland. It's in
right.
He's Liverpool poster, Barry and Louth.
Billy's son, that is.
Yeah,
even though he's probably older than Billy by the looks of him. He's going to kill me for that one if he listens to this. But luckily he won't listen to this, so he won't know anyway.
Is there a bit of a bromance going on there, Billy?
Oh,
yeah.
Very
lovely. Is it a loving? Oh, bless.
Scary thing is, Billy's probably the most popular editor on the Liverpool page.
There you go, Billy.
Yeah.
And he's the Everton. Doesn't sell off much Liverpool editors, does it?
All right, guys, let's crack on to Spurs' big marquee signing, Joe Hart.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I thought you meant they bought a tent.
How? Why? And what for? I don't get it. So that means either Gazaniga going, because why would they give a third keeper 50 grand a week? I don't get it.
I don't get the point of signing him for anything. He's just useless.
But I just don't understand. Either Lloris or Gazaniga are going, right? I'm assuming.
You think it's got to be Lloris that's going to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
If one of them's going.
Yeah, because Gazzaniga played most of last. He played a lot of last season, didn't he? Played well as
Yeah,
well.
Lloris has had quite a few injuries, so it might just be
He's
because of
now.
that.
Fair enough.
He's been missing a few games quite last couple of years, hasn't he? So it might just be
Yeah.
because of that. Like,
Yeah, I think Lloris is on his way, and he's not as good as he used to be.
but I can't see anyone signing Hart as first choice because he's terrible.
They were talking on Talksport today about him, and they were saying that he'd be a good signing because of his winning mentality, because he's won the Premiership. And he nearly crashed the car.
That is class. That's funny. Just shows the lack of intelligence on that station.
Yeah.
I mean, this beggars belief. Let's move on to another keeper. I mean, no, actually, let's just go back a little bit. Jose Mourinho must be tearing his hair out there because he's been big budgets, multi-million dollar pound footballers, most expensive footballers, and then he gets frigging Joe Hart. He must be tearing.
But he knows they've got money problems with the coronavirus and that. They've been really badly hit. So, oh, you lot have gone again. Do you know what? I swear you lot are doing this on purpose now. I think you're deliberately just cutting off the signal just in the middle of when I'm saying something, so I'm left having to carry on chatting and talking absolute bollocks and fill the time. And I know I can talk a lot of bollocks, but you're back.
Tristan, right, we're going to have to rewind a little.
Yeah, I was just saying Jose knows that the club's in trouble for money, so I'm sure he's understanding.
Right, let's take it back then a little bit because we didn't hear what you were saying.
I just said that he understands the club's in money trouble. They've got to, they're not going to be able to spend like they were, so he's going to have to just accept it.
He probably knew that before he took the job as well, right?
Well, nobody expected this coronavirus, to be fair.
Okay, I see what you mean, but
they've
I'm
suddenly
just saying,
lost NFL games and everything that was going to make them a lot of money. So,
oh wow! So they would have been relevant in the transfer market for sure. Then they would have been competing.
Yeah, people forget they got a lot of money that they've lost on use of the stadium, and they're having to pay for it as well.
Yeah, it's hits people like a club like Spurs hard because they just had that new stadium to pay for as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You think he'll be here within in a year or so, Jose?
I think they'll struggle and he'll get sacked. To be honest, soon. It's just a matter of time, isn't it?
I think so. I think most people knew that before he took the job.
Yeah,
it was a weird
matter of time. It was a strange decision to appoint him.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. All right, guys.
I just don't know what his aims are going to be for this year. Is it to be top four? Why get rid of Pochettino if your aim is top four?
Yeah,
you've got to win, and I can't see him winning anything with Spurs, to be honest with you.
Totally agree with you, Billy. Totally agree.
Year's ending in one next year. They might be a force in the cups. You know what these Spurs fans always say?
Yeah.
All right, guys. One keeper to another. Let's talk about Ramsdale going from Burnley to Bournemouth. From Bournemouth to Burnley, and as Dean Henderson's replacement, who signed $100,000 a week contract at United. So he's going there to give De Gea a run for his money.
Well, for me,
yeah,
go on, Bill.
I think he will. I've said it before. I think Henderson is the future for Man United as a keeper. I think we've seen David De Gea. He's been a great keeper, but he's gone. He's yesterday's news, and I think this Henderson will do really well for United.
I hate to do this, but I'm going to totally agree with you, Bill. Oh God, that hurts. Oh, I feel like my throat's sore now.
Yeah, I think he's going to be. He's got the potential to be, one of the best keepers in the Premiership.
Yeah, I'd have him over De Gea right now. How they've been playing. But what about Ramsdale? What do you think of
Yeah,
him for Sheffield United? Do you think he'll do well or?
I haven't seen that much of him, to be honest. What I've seen of him has been quite impressive, but uh, I think he'll need time, a bit more time, to see how he does.
Well, he's got a surname that's going to fit in Sheffield, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Ramsdale? Why Sheffield? That's a Lancashire name.
It's a northern name, isn't it?
Lancashire name. It's what my nan's surname was.
It's still northern.
Yeah, but not really. It's not Yorkshire though.
Wait a minute. You're telling me Sheffield ain't north of
No,
England?
I said it ain't Lancashire's a different side of the country. We're very different. The west side of the Pennine. You know what I'm talking about. The west side of the country to the east side of the country. They're different over there. The other side of the Pennines, aren't they, Bill?
Yeah, they breed whippets and all that.
Yeah, weird.
What's this Ramsdale like then, Tristan?
Good keeper. He's not Henderson class like, but he's a decent enough keeper.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that. Yeah, they don't really play on the ground and that, so I'm not sure they'll get the best out of him. But yeah, he's not a bad keeper. I don't see who else they could get that was better, to be honest, for the way they, for their team is the problem. With the money they've got to spend, I couldn't see a better option for them, to be honest.
So was that a good 18 million to spend or a bad 18 million to spend?
I think that's a bit more than he's really worth, but he's young enough to improve, and he could be there for 10 years or so. So in which case it'll work out to be a bargain.
Fair enough.
And they've got a history of doing well with keepers, haven't they, Burnley? They've had some really good keepers.
Burnley? Sheffield United, mate.
Sorry, Sheffield United. I'm thinking. Sorry.
You get confused now.
All right. Talking about keepers, Atletico Madrid have signed Ivo Gribic from a team in Zagreb. I'm not even going to pronounce that team. So is Oblak on his way? Chelsea, maybe?
Everton, maybe?
Oh, I love an optimist.
Disney, maybe?
You got to think if Chelsea could buy it or keep it. I mean, there's no better option out there, is there, available? If he's available. No. And it does look...
Yeah. He's a quality keeper, Oblak.
Yeah, but regardless, I mean, Chelsea surely they haven't got that much money to buy Oblak, a good central defender, and Kai Havertz.
Don't know. They had a fair bit in the bank.
Rotters. That disgusts me.
I don't see it though. I personally don't. I can't see them. But Atletico have. They've put themselves in trouble with their spending. I mean, Simeone's the highest paid manager in world football.
Isn't he on
Somebody explain to me how he can be the highest paid manager in world football, because I don't see what he does that's special. I honestly just don't get it. He spends huge sums every year on players, and he plays crap football. And he's won a couple of trophies, but like he only won them because Barcelona and Real Madrid was so bad, rather than because that he's so good. If you see what I mean.
Well, he's come close a couple of times in Euro Champions League.
Yeah, but again, I'm just not convinced he's the greatest. This great manager. I think he's a good manager, but he's Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, it's not big to watch, Hardy.
No, awful.
Yeah.
To watch.
When you're spending 108 million on a forward, you got to expect the team to play decent football, at least, surely.
Yeah, but then he got that much for Griezmann, didn't he? So it was a net spend.
Well, no, because most of that money wouldn't have even gone to them, because all their players in the past were all third party owned. That was how they could afford people like Sergio Aguero and that.
Right.
You know, it's all been a case of, things hidden under the table, so to speak, as in, like, you look at it on the face of it, they're spending huge money, but most of it was actually third-party ownership, so they were only buying a little bit of the player.
I don't know nothing about that. That really confuses me. That third party ownership stuff.
It's like loans; it just messes up the transfer. All of that needs to be cancelled. So you either, a player's either contracted to your club alone, or he's not.
Yeah.
His contracts. Get rid of all these loans and all that.
Did
'Cause
that
it
all
just
start
messes with
with
the competitiveness of the league.
Mascherano? Did that all start with Mascherano and Tevez?
Tevez.
No, that was what ended it in the Premier League because of them.
Yeah, Jarabchin, wasn't it?
Yeah, the new Arsenal man.
Rabchin. Yeah, you're right, mate.
Yeah, that was what actually brought it to people's attention rather than
Yeah.
it didn't really happen in England. But it does cause a mess.
Can it happen now? Have they put
No, it's banned in English
put
football.
a lid on it?
But
Right,
I think
okay.
it's banned in European football. I think that's why, they're having to pay for players, and that's why they're struggling financially now, Atletico, because they're having to actually pay for players.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about Anthony Robinson, who's moved to Fulham from Wigan on a reported £50,000 a week. The interesting part of this story is that Robinson failed a medical at AC Milan because of a heart issue. Discuss.
I thought the interesting thing is he was once on the books of Everton. That was the big news there, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know much about you remember him in the youth teams?
No, I don't,
He's a US international now, I was surprised.
He's at what international? US international?
Yeah. It was always in the US national team thinking, like, even when he was a kid at Everton. But like he's one of those. He had loads of Premier League teams looking at him, and somehow he's ended up at Fulham. It seems an odd move.
Yeah, it does.
Well, maybe
they're
they
desperate for a right back. To be fair, I mean, any team that has to play, what's his name? That guy that what's his name? Dennis Adoy. God, he's abysmal.
Oh right, Fulham got promoted, didn't they? That's right. They're in the Premiership.
Yeah.
Let's hope they can buy Harry Wilson, Gruitch.
No,
Geary.
I like Gruitch. I'd like us to get a work permit and keep him, to be honest, but can't see it happening.
I don't know. I wanted to sell all our players and get Hassan Aouar from Lille.
It's not happening, though, is it? Let's be honest.
Don't
Be lovely,
do that.
but no.
Oh my God, what a player! Anyway, let's move on to Norwich, and they've taken a left.
Diego Carlos after tonight, though. I bet.
Oof. At least I never saw much of him, to be honest with you. Bits and pieces, but so I'm not the person to ask about him, but there's been a lot of backlash on him for some reason. Is he that
Give
bad?
away a lot of penalties. Very rash.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's a good thing we can't afford him then, because we were seriously in for him, weren't we?
Yeah, I don't know why though, but yeah.
Hey Billy, talk to me about the Brazilian fella at is it Lille that you guys were going in for? Marquinhos.
Gabriel
What?
That Gabriel one you want to?
Gabriel, that's it.
Gabriel, yeah. We've been linked with him before. But
apparently you dithered or something, and Arsenal came in, and now for some reason at the last minute, Man United, Spurs, and I think another team have come in for him.
Yeah, I never believe any of this transfer news.
No.
I keep getting emails of people saying Everton are in for this fella, in for that fella, in for Alan, and they never come off. So I just dismissed them now.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, he got priced out of a move, and most of the clubs like Arsenal and that just took a look at him and decided they didn't want to. They weren't so keen. Good player, but apparently he's a bit of a problem off the pitch. So
that doesn't help at all, does it? I mean,
No.
where do you think he'll end up, Tristan?
I still think somebody will buy him in the Premier League. Somebody's going to be desperate enough to end up because there's no good centre backs around. So when there is a good one, even if he is a bit of an arse off the pitch, you have to take him.
Yeah.
Just as long as he doesn't end up getting arrested in Greece, obviously.
You said good centre backs.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, miss it. I mean, I wasn't. Good point. Good point. Forget what I said then.
Retract that now and take
Yeah.
it off record. All right. Norwich have taken a left back on loan. Is that because Lewis is going to Leicester to replace Chilwell, who's going to Chelsea?
Just look like it, doesn't it? It looks.
I can't believe Chelsea are buying all these players.
Yeah.
Well, they needed them desperately, and they're offloading
That's
a lot
not
as
the
well.
point. I'm
Remember,
bitter-
because they've got
I'm
all
bitter
these
in
players
fact-
on loan they could get rid of.
Tristan, you're not hearing the bitterness in my voice and the jealousy and
I
the
don't
contempt.
care. I mean, not
Why
being
not?
funny, but Chilwell's not as good as either of our left backs, so why would I care that they're buying him?
Do you care that they're buying Havertz?
Do you know what? I like him, but
Well,
I'll just be glad to watch him in the league, to be honest. I just don't think that he's gonna change anything because they need a centre back and a keeper more than anything.
Which they'll get.
yeah.
Well, we'll wait and see who they get before I worry about them.
Yeah, because Frank Lampard's he knows better than anybody that he needs a goalkeeper and a centre back. And they're in for Thiago, aren't they? They're in advanced court talks with Thiago.
Yeah.
Yeah, which suggests they're not going to get a centre back they want.
Right, yeah,
Otherwise, why
because you
take
wouldn't-
him?
yeah, because you wouldn't give a 35-year-old a 3-year contract, would you?
Yeah, he's obviously just a stopgap until they get somebody. If that's correct, I haven't actually checked
Yeah.
to see whether that's correct, to be honest, because I've been so busy.
I mean, I'm not sure that Thiago's the answer. Maybe even for a season or two, he'll get rings run round him in the Premiership. Because
It depends on how they want to play. To be fair, if they're playing a back three, put him in the centre
Yeah.
of a back three, he'd be fine.
yeah,
Play
Yeah, I
a
like
sweeper
him.
role, he'd be a good choice for that. You wouldn't
But I
want him
don't
if he's back four because he'd get
He's not
bullied as
mobile
well.
enough.
You've seen what he's like against someone who goes up against him, butts heads with him. He's bottle.
Yeah.
He's got no bottle. He's got no strength. He's a player rather than a defender.
but I don't see Chelsea playing a back five though.
Oh no, I think it quite suit the right back they've got. It'd mean they could put Aspilicueta in every week at right-sided centre half,
I'm not sure, but
and Chilwell can't defend, so it means you got cover behind him.
yeah, but it detracts from their offensive play because they've got to put all those
Sure it
shiny
does.
forward.
Just means they can give them more freedom, the ones that because they've got extra cover at the back.
I don't see them playing that. I mean, because then they'll be. I don't know. I don't see them playing it, but we'll see. I would like to them to sign Silva, to be honest, because that will be one less good player they sign, if you know what I mean.
Oh god! As long as it isn't David Silva they sign or Bernardo Silva, then I'd be worried.
All right, mate. What's the Kai Havertz latest?
As aware, there's no latest. It's just when a deal's arranged, they'll get him. If not, it won't. It's one of those people think that things go on, but a lot of time it's just like there's nothing's done for ages in between while they're busy getting other signings done.
So what you're saying-
For me, I think they're waiting to see how much budget they've got left over.
He must have a good budget, though, mustn't he?
Oh yeah, they've
To
got.
play-
But you don't want to go in to spend 150 million saying Kai Havertz because at the moment they've got 150 million to spend, but then not be able to afford the goalkeeper and the defender they want because they've spent 150 million on Kai Havertz. If you see what I mean.
Or do you not think they're going for Silva because they've signed Kai Havertz? Because Silva would be the
Still need
cheaper option.
They still need a keeper though. So I think they're just waiting until they make sure, then they can arrange. Because the usual thing is not so much how much you pay, it's how you pay it. The
Right,
payment
in
terms.
installments.
Which
Yeah.
is how much you pay up front and how much you pay next month and how much you pay them or the year after, whatever. You know what I mean? The way it's structured is almost always more important than the actual amount, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they need to sort out. And until they've got all their other ducks lined up, you know what I mean? All the more important ones, which is a goalkeeper in particular, I don't think they can sort out this deal because they don't know where how much budget they can commit to it.
See, that's interesting what you just said, that people assume that things are going on in the background. So what you're saying is there's no groundwork. Conceivably, there could be no groundwork being done on the Kai Havertz transfer. It could be just dead at the moment, but they'll pick it up when they know what budget they've got.
It'll just be they'll have spoken to what you usually have. You've spoken to the club that's selling. You've said
Right.
that how much do you want for him. They've told you how much you want for him. You've got an idea from the player's agent what kind of wages he wants. Then you have to go
Right.
away and think about how much you could commit to it, what kind of payments, because they'll have said they want X amount up front and then they want the rest over the 3 years or whatever it is, the maximum you can pay it over. Or they might have said, I mean, it's like when the Andy Carroll transfer was on, the problem we had was they wanted the money. The only way they'd sell him, Newcastle would sell him, was if Liverpool paid all the money up front for him. That was the only way. That was the only way that deal go. Normally, though, what happens is they say, no, we'd take 10 million now, 10 million next year, 10 million year after, and then 5 million in the final year.
Yeah, no. You know what? I've always wanted to know this. Say the two CEOs, right, of the clubs or whatever it is, the people that talk about the transfers. So I go in to say I'm the lady that's buying Kai Havertz, right? Yeah. And I go and see my counterpart at Leverkusen, right? Or is that Leverkusen where they're buying him from?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to pay approximately around 90 million, right? And I'm that mine. I say to him, well, no, you know what? We'll give you 80. And then what does he say? He goes, no. And then what happens? I mean,
He might say, we'd accept 80, but you need to pay, because they've said we'll pay 80, but we're only going to we'll give 20 million up front, 20 million in 6 months, 20 million in 6 months after that, 20 million like that to pay the 80 over 4 installments. And he might turn around and say, we'd take 80 million, but we want 40 million up front.
But what I'm asking is, right, so she's giving him an offer of 80, right? Does he go out of the room and talk to his, I don't know, whoever he talks to, and then comes back? Or does he just...
It depends. I mean, it depends on every negotiation is different. It's like any negotiation where when you go into a shop, how do you negotiate? Every negotiation is different, isn't it? You know what I mean? But normally you'd have lawyers and you'd have agents in there with you.
Right.
And
there'll be a group of people in there and you just hash it out between you.
Yeah, that's the usual. I mean, it's not always like that, but...
I would love to be in a negotiating room when a big transfer is being done. That would be so fascinating.
Do you know what? I think you'd be bored to tears, because most of it would be just small talk while they're waiting for the lawyers to figure out, or the accountants to figure out whether that payment, the payment plans, or to draw up the contracts and that. Most of it.
Nah, that negotiation would really turn me on. It would be a really, really good thing.
Turns you on, mate.
You don't. Anyway, let's go down to.
It's not what you said earlier. Change your tune now, Billy's about, aren't you, eh?
Why, was I really, really drunk earlier and paralytic and didn't have my faculties with me?
You never have your faculties with you when you're sober. What do you mean?
All right, let's talk about Blaise Matuidi going to Inter.
Oh, yeah, Inter Miami, yeah. Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Because that's a terrible name. But like Beckham, is that Beckham's first big signing?
No, he signed somebody in the. I can remember. I remember in the America. He signed the biggest contract in the American League. He signed an American player. Can't
Yeah,
remember
but I
his
mean,
name.
like the first big name from Europe to go in, because Beckham's been desperately trying to get someone.
Listen, mate,
Ronaldo, Messi, anyone.
I know more than anybody that Miami. There's only one reason you go to Miami ain't to play football. That's for sure. So
So what
they're
is the
going there
reason
for
you
a
go to
jolly.
Miami?
They're going for a jolly. These people are going for a jolly.
Retire.
And well, of course. I mean, he isn't the only time. The only reason it'll be a great move for Suarez because Suarez spends a lot of time there anyway, and I think they'll get them at the end of their career. There's not going to be people ain't going to be going into Miami in their heyday. No chance. They'll get them at the very end of their careers. And there's no doubt it's a great location. It's a great place to retire.
Is it?
To play your last
Isn't it
year.
hot and humid and really uncomfortable? Florida,
No, people enjoy going out, Tristan, in hot weather and going to the beaches.
I like going out, but not when it's humid. It's horrible and
1
sticky.
minute. What did you just say? You like what?
I like going out now because there's nobody else around. Because everybody's indoors. It's brilliant. You don't have to deal with people.
See, not everybody hates people like you do, Tristan. You know, people in Miami actually have a social life. They're joyous. They like going out.
They're Americans, aren't they? So they voted for Trump, most of them. So that's really not suggesting that they're the kind of people I want to listen to their advice of and take their kind of lifestyle tips from.
All right, but anyway, we're talking about Beckham. So I think that he will be. I think this club will be successful, but I think it's going to take. He's like Man City. It took a year or two to get the players that he wanted in, and once they all come, they'll all start coming. You know, it'll be a domino effect, and I think it will be a successful football team. Or even though now it's not, because they've not won many games at all.
Oh, they actually started yet? I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So let's move on to our Dejan winning the cup final in his first game for Zenit St. Petersburg.
Yeah, I bet Billy was impressed, weren't you, Bill? Were you watching that?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
Did you watch it?
No. Well, Coronation Street was on the other side, so I watched that instead.
The scary thing is, he's probably being serious about that.
I am.
He loves his curry, don't you, Bill?
I do love curry, yeah. And I'm a dad.
Billy, I can just visualise you with your couple Ovaltine and watching Coronation Street.
And his slippers and his bathrobe.
Yeah. What I loved, Lovren came out of a couple of things this week that was very, very put a smile on my face. The first one was he said he purposely elbowed Ramos when Croatia were playing Spain recently for revenge for Salah in the European Cup
Is
final.
anybody surprised at that, considering they've had a bit of a love thing going on?
And the other thing was, did you hear about when he said the club expressly told the players not to go to Anfield the day we won the title? And what did Lovren do?
Went to Anfield, no doubt.
Went to Anfield the day we won the night we won the title, and I just thought that was pretty special, man. That he'd go, he had a hoodie and a mask and everything, and he went there. He wanted to be there to sample the atmosphere because he probably knew he was going. He wouldn't sample it again.
Did you see Salah's been putting up a load of pics saying, "I'm not missing you, Lovren"? It's like, oh yeah, we know you are, but he's got pictures of himself with the new guy, Samakis. You know what I mean? With his arm round him and stuff. You know, just saying, not really missing you, Dejan.
Yeah, I've seen that. All right, guys. David Silva choosing Real Sociedad over Lazio, and Lazio putting out that statement saying that we respect the player but not the man.
I don't get what they're bothered about, because like everyone knew he was going home to Spain. Why were they even going in for him? I mean, am I missing something?
The whole point of him leaving Man City was to go home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So where the
Lazio thought they had an agreement with him. That's what they're pissed at.
But
they thought they'd given him a private jet and they'd given him a 2-year contract.
Yeah,
And
but
that's what they
everyone
were.
knew he wanted to go home, and he was only going to take an offer from Italy if there was no offer coming from Spain. Everyone knew that.
Lazio, I thought they were very close. They got his word.
Yeah, but Lazio's, we're talking about this is a team of Nats. The fans are the neo-Nazis in Italy. So I'm really, they're probably not that bright, are they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but this is their chief executive coming out with this statement, not the fans.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying it's likely that it's from the same kind of people, So.
You mean the same kind of ideology and psychology?
Yeah, he's probably not very bright, is he? I mean, everyone knew David Silva was leaving Man City because he wanted to go back to Spain. That was it. As far as I'm aware, what's probably happened is his agent said, "Oh, that sounds like a good deal, a 2-year deal," taking it to David Silva, and he said, "I don't want to go there. I want to go home." That's what's probably happened, and his agent has tried to convince him and told Lazio, "No, honestly, he'll take that."
Didn't he grew up? He went to play football there at Albert, or he grew up near there or something. I remember reading. So it's a natural move for him.
Yeah.
He's just gone home, hasn't he? Everyone knew he was going home. This is why I find it difficult to believe that he'd at any point made an agreement with Lazio. I just can't see that happening.
True.
That's why I'm saying I think his agent must have just led them a merry dance, made them think he was going to join because he was desperate. He thought this, seen pound signs in front of his eyes when they threw an offer down.
True. What do you make of the fact that he's getting a statue built of him outside the City's ground or inside City's ground?
Seems makes sense to me. I think when you consider it, who else could they put a statue up to?
Company. Oh, Company's getting one. Him and Company are getting one.
Yeah.
Together.
I mean, who else? I mean, the owner.
Statues up to
Company's giving him company.
Yeah. Oh God.
But can you imagine Yaya Toure didn't get a birthday cake? Now he's going to find out that these two are getting a frigging statue. Can you imagine what he's going to do now?
He still thinks he can play in the. He's on about wanting the team in the championship, isn't he? Him, Yaya Toure.
What a player he was.
very good.
At Barcelona, he was tremendous.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Yaya Toure.
Mate, you put Gerrard ahead of Souness, so your
No, I
footballing
didn't
knowledge.
put Gerrard ahead of Souness. I've said all along Souness is the better midfielder. We were talking about playing in
No.
games.
We're going to go on about your Poundland video again, so let's just.
About derby games, Gerrard
Let's
has more
just drop
effect on
that.
them over a longer period of time.
All right. So that Man United player, I can't pronounce his name, going to Werder Bremen on loan, season long loan.
Taith Chong.
That's the one. Yeah.
It's not really difficult to pronounce Chong. I mean,
Chong.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wasn't big things expected of him.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was thinking we should mention it because it seems a bit of a surprising move.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Not really, because the Germans are just hoovering up all the English talent, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, to be fair to him, he's given a chance to a lot of kids, but he's not seemed to have got anywhere near getting a chance, and yet he was supposed to be in real talent.
Or
He
maybe.
was, he was in the squad, but he never actually got that many games.
Maybe he's going on the loan to get experience. They're not going to sell him. They just want him to get that full experience playing him week in, week out.
Very possibly, yeah.
That's what I wondered. Is it that he's not that good, or is it just that they don't feel he's ready physically yet for the English league?
Is there a Poundland video on him, mate?
I don't think they do videos anymore, mate. I think they stopped doing that a while ago. About the same time as you stopped being able to buy the machines to play them on.
I remember the Betamaxes as well. Bloody hell.
Oh, you would.
Yeah.
I bet Billy had a Betamax.
I did, yeah.
He likes to back the wrong horse. That's why he sells Everton. I mean, it says it all, doesn't it? The only person I know in our family that has a Betamax, everybody else on VHS, apart from one, Paul Murphy, who's an Evertonian as well. It just says it all, really.
I reckon Billy and Colin Harvey were the
Colin Harvey had all his scouting videos on Betamax.
No, he was a Betamax manager.
I bet Colin Harvey's scouting videos are in Poundland as well. All right, guys, let's Vertonghen join in Benfica, who have also signed Cavani. I thought it was a pandemic. Where the hell is Benfica getting all this money from?
He took a massive pay cut, didn't he, Cavani? And both of them are free agents, so they're only paying wages.
And a signing fee.
Yeah. But you don't know how much their signing fee was. They both might have gone there on a very low one.
Yeah, but Cavani will probably want... I'm not sure that Cavani's going to be taking... He'll be in the low hundreds, probably.
I don't know. I mean, that's taking a massive pay cut. That's still half his wages, isn't it? It's a massive one. Good signing for them, mind. And Vertonghen, I just thought somebody else in the Premier League would have taken a chance on him.
Yeah, he's a good player, actually, Vertonghen.
I would have thought someone like it. Do you know what? If they didn't have Laporte, Man City, I mean, he would have been perfect for them. I still think they should have gone for Aldaway road. See, that's who they should have bought. But yeah, I mean, he's a good player, good on the ball. He can play left back, left-sided centre back of a 3 or a left-sided centre back. Excellent player, like. I mean, I thought somebody else would have gone in for him.
Isn't he a bit injury prone though?
I don't know. He has niggles, but I don't remember him having like long periods out. It's not like Matip where you know he plays like 5 games and you don't see him again for the rest of the season.
He's made of glass, that fella.
Yeah, he's still injured now, isn't he?
Yep, him and Ox has just been injured as well. He's got a knee complaint, so
Trent's got an injury as well, though. So
obviously
Henderson's still out, but
is it right that Liverpool are in Austria training?
Yes, yeah. They play Stuttgart tomorrow.
They're out play for 14 days when they come back.
Why?
Because that's gone on the list yesterday as one of the
quarantine.
Yeah,
Oh.
they reckon they've got isolate for 14 days.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, that'd just be difficult, wouldn't they? What are they going to do? I mean, how are they going to play football if everyone's going into it? Because there's going to be loads of them going to these... loads of teams have gone to these camps, haven't they?
But the season doesn't kick off till September the 12th, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
that's only 3.5 weeks away.
Yeah.
4 weeks away.
Well, you only got quarantine for 14.
Yeah, but they haven't come back yet, mate. They've got 2 games to play yet.
Oh, right. I thought they would have come home straight away, no?
No, we're playing Stuttgart tomorrow, and then somebody a couple of days later. I forget who, another German side, I think.
Well, you're still within that. Even if you have to come home and quarantine for 14 days, you still won't miss the start of the season.
But you can't train properly.
No, you can't train. That's the thing. You won't be playing together.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. It's not so much that you're that you can't play. It's that you can't train either.
This is all gone tits up, isn't it? Really.
The season's going to be an absolute mess anyway with half the teams, be it the European games and all that. It's so late on, and it's really weird, this.
And they're talking about getting supporters back now, starting with Manchester United and Tottenham. First game. Not the first game.
They're talking about 40% capacity, aren't they?
Yeah.
How are they going to decide?
It's like a full house at Everton.
Man City, you're going to have to get farm some in, aren't they?
I don't.
But how do you decide which 40% to go? I mean, the season ticket holders are normally about 60%, isn't it?
Yeah, it's alternate games. I heard.
Wow.
There's missing up next year. There's no one there. They get the next game,
But what
and
happens? So how do you decide which one? Well, I mean, if you're a Liverpool fan and your mate gets the guy sits next to you gets the Man United game, and you get Fulham, it doesn't seem fair somehow, does it?
no, but people will still pay the money, won't they?
Yeah.
And it's got
What about the corporate stuff then? So what about the corporate tickets? What happens with those? Are they going to be 40% as well? The corporate tickets capacity, or do they not sell corporate tickets?
I don't know about that. I really
Because
don't.
when you go in the boxes, when the corporate
Yeah.
hospitality.
Well, you'd know about that, wouldn't you? Because you're posh.
Don't hate me. Don't hate me.
Some of us don't know about those kind of things, mate. We're poor.
It's just a mess. The whole system's broken. I mean, and I know they're doing their best, and I applaud the authorities for. I mean, just having football is just amazing, but it really is a mess, and they've got their work cut out. And I mean, rather them than me, because there's some tough decisions to be made. Because any decision could be perilous, and and put people's lives at risk, and they're putting their necks on the line.
But when you think of the championship clubs downwards, a lot of them are going to go out of business if they don't start getting revenue in from crowds.
Absolutely.
That's where they should be starting. Premier League can manage. It's got TV revenue. Just let the lower league teams get people in first.
Yeah.
And it's a good way. It's a smaller capacity, so there's smaller numbers to deal with. So it's much easier to control it as well.
Now, would you have guys thought, all right, they finished the season, would you guys have delayed it and just waited until a vaccine or something? Or just delayed it a few more months?
I'd delayed it a few more months. I think it's too early to go back at the moment. That's just my opinion, of course. But
yeah. Now, do you think, Billy, guys, that is it just a financial decision, the reason why they've started again?
Yeah. Absolutely financial, yeah.
Everything that's gone back now is, all the shops reopening, etc. Everything. It's all about financial decisions.
Well, I can understand to a point, because you can't just let you can't let an economy break, because that's just going to cause immeasurable problems. So I can understand to an extent why they've done it. I mean, it's a really hard balancing act to get the economic situation and the health situation, and for both of them to marry. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't wait for the vaccine, because we may never get one, or maybe 100 years down the line. And
I mean, they're talking about December to get a vaccine, but let's be honest, who the hell is going to be put their name forward for that when it's been tested for a few months?
There's already people testing for it now here.
Yeah, but normally. Well, yeah, exactly. But normally it's 10 years. You get medicine takes around an average of 10 years or so to come from testing to the market. So testing it I'm not going to be. I'm not going to have a vaccine. I'm not going to try that vaccine. No chance.
I had a letter today with my dad. Oh, was it today or yesterday? I can't remember. Messaged me, said, "Hey, you got a letter come here from the NHS. Do you want me to open it and see what it is?" Like, well, yeah, you may as well. Inviting me to join the trials. It's a bit far to go for the vaccine trial from here, but
do it for mankind, Tristan. Let us laugh at
but
the
it's
results.
like I was just thinking, it's a bit far for me to travel. Like, are they going to pay me bus fare?
I can just imagine you growing a penis on your head after about 3 weeks. Oh, but you've already got one of them anyway.
You'd be a bit late there, wouldn't you?
No, but seriously,
that you don't need years now for trials. They said it's the new clinical excellence they've got. You don't need to trial for that long now. Used to be years ago, but it's not now. According to a doctor on GMTV this morning.
Oh, well, if a doctor on GMTV said it, it must be true. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that at all, to be honest. Because how do you know the long-term effects if you don't wait years?
So Billy, Yeah, exactly. So Billy,
You
I mean,
know, the pitfalls now quicker than what they used to.
Yeah, but they say
know
that. But they said that when
a lot of
thalidomide came along and stuff like that. How many
I
years
know they
later?
did. I know thalidomide was a totally different case.
Well, no, but it was
But
the same thing. It was effects they didn't
Yeah.
know about because it didn't happen immediately. It happened years later.
the tested now are made up of an amalgam of other vaccines that they know are safe to use. That's what they were saying this morning.
would you be comfortable taking a vaccine, Billy?
No, I wouldn't myself, no.
Tristan?
I'd let you go first. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's a tough situation because I think I'm just on a
But you
just
have
on
to
a
go back to normal at some point. I mean, in the past, these things have happened and they've gone away. We've had, they've been yellow fever epidemics and stuff. Obviously, it was much easier in the past because people didn't travel so much, and they did things like because it used to be you had to send your mail. You weren't allowed to seal the envelopes, so they could fumigate the letters. Things like that when when there was yellow fever epidemics and that. But at some point, you have to go back to normal. You have to live a normal life. You just can't live in fear, can you?
No, you can't. No.
I mean, there's a chance you could catch flu tomorrow, and there's a good chance at your age, Billy, not being funny, but a good chance at your age that it'd kill you. But you can't just stay inside. You didn't stay inside all day every day just in case you caught it, did you? So we just have to learn to live with it, I think, until they come up with something.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show.